It's Wreckin' and Rappin', a podcast with a purpose. I'm King Cooper here with Alex and Flizo. Last week we talked about magic books like the Holy Bible. This week we'll discuss two amazing writers, Voltaire and Nietzsche. For the wrecking or rapping section this week, I'd like you boys to judge my lion sounds. This work of art started from The Lion King when Simba gives his roar to the hyenas and he goes, "Wow!" Yeah, you got it. And then Mufasa shows up and he gives a real lion's. So what do you think, wrecking or rapping?
Rapping.
What? Yeah, that's. I don't know what's happening here, but like,
They're lion sounds. What do you mean?
One more time.
But like, I know I personally have taken my time to understand the part of it.
Side note, I decided to start calling my wife Queen and my daughter Princess, so that will be happening going forward, at least the best I can.
All right.
Do you think you got what you're gonna get out of lion sounds?
I don't know. I mean, I could probably just watch and listen to you do that for a hot minute because
that's
so
good.
weird.
Hopefully, a lot of other people will join in on that too. Then, on Shakespeare, we're going to keep the ball rolling with sonnets. So here's Sonnet 45. The other two, slight air and purging fire, are both with thee wherever I abide. The first my thought, the other my desire. These present absent with swift motion slide. For when these quicker elements are gone, in tender embassy of love to thee, my life being made of four, with two alone, sinks down to death, oppressed with melancholy, until life's composition be recured by those swift messengers returned from thee, who even but now come back again assured of thy fair health, recounting it to me. This told, I joy, but then no longer glad. I send them back again, and straight grow sad. So he sends his thoughts and desires, labeled air and fire, respectively, to his queen. He mentions they are quicker elements, and he's made of four. He's sad without air and fire, made happy when they return with good news, then sends them out again and grows sad. Is that what you caught listening to it?
I got that he was sad.
He's
So you
really
heard the
part
last
of
word?
her, giving a part of himself to her, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, like when your love is gone, you're sending your thoughts and your desires to them. Like, oh, I hope they're thinking of me. And so that stuff makes you sad. And there's some rhymes in there. I like the recurred, assured rhyme.
I mean, there were rhymes in there, but there were also lines that didn't rhyme. So it seemed like it was like an A, B, A, C sort of thing.
Do you think every line has to rhyme?
I don't know. I personally like it when it does that. It's easier to follow.
I mean, it could be every other line or every third
Well, yeah,
line.
it's usually like an A, B, A, B. But like, if there's no rhyme pattern, it's sometimes harder to follow because like you hear the rhymes, and then when they don't rhyme, you get too focused on the fact that wait, that's not right.
So what I'd like to see happen is like an A-B rhyme, and then C is like a paragraph. It goes on too long, so you start to wander, and then the rhyme brings you back. That way they keep your attention with the rhymes. But that's just to get you in the door.
But once you lose my attention, it's a lot harder to get it back than it is to keep it if you were already had it.
Did I get your attention? Now, getting into other writers, Voltaire is who I'll be talking about first today. He was born in France, 1698, and died 1778. I'm always trying to improve. I don't care what it is. It's more about making use of my time on Earth. Make number go up is something I say. What does that mean for language? English is my first language, and if I want to improve at English, I go to the source. That's Shakespeare. I believe Voltaire was probably the greatest writer ever, but he writes in French. Voltaire brings wit, storytelling, and beautiful language to every line. He is a reason I want to learn French. He understands higher level language and is an opportunity to see the art of writing in a new way. You have any familiarity with Voltaire? Probably Candide has been assigned readings.
I remember that Voltaire was on the assignment. I just don't remember anything about him necessarily.
That seems accurate to what I bet most people would say. So I'll now read Candide the Optimist. In this first reading, Candide will be voluntold to join the Bulgarian military. They told him, "You're now the support, the upholder, the defender, the hero of the Bulgarians. Your fortune is made and your glory is assured." Irons were immediately placed around his ankles, and he was led away to the regiment. He was compelled to make right and left turns, to raise the ramrod, to return the ramrod, to take fire, to march in double time, and he was given 30 strokes. The next day he performed the drill a little less badly, and he received only 20 strokes. The day after that he was given only 10, and he was looked upon as a prodigy by his comrades. The wit is how he leads one direction, then goes the other. Candide is labeled a hero, then placed in chains. He's being beaten daily, though seen as a prodigy. It's also funny to break down all military activity to making left and right turns.
Taking
I
things
thought
down
he
to
was a
their most
prodigy.
basic form.
Well, that's but I thought he was a prodigy because he learned not to get beat so much. Because it sounded
Yeah.
like they thought he was a prodigy because he went from like, oh, needing 30 lashes to 20. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you learn. It's like, yeah, like why wouldn't you?
And that's also the joke, though, is he's still getting beaten, but we're saying he's doing so good.
I mean, but isn't that just life?
Yeah,
Yes,
you're
and
just
this is the
messing up
wit.
less. Messing up less.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Better than
hopefully messing up
nothing.
less, but sometimes we'll mess up more. It's just life, like you said. How
You
about
either mess up
we?
less or you do less severe screw ups.
Yeah, making less severe mistakes is also a good lesson to learn. It's like if I'm going to screw up, and I know that's going to happen because I'm a flawed human, at least I won't risk it all in whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, you bet a little bit at roulette. You don't bet the mortgage payment. You
Yeah.
know?
And maybe, I guess you only bet on red or black. I always said, if you're going to gamble, put it all on a single hand of blackjack because that's your best chance or that you would make the most out of a win. And your odds
but-
only decrease the longer you keep playing. So you just,
Oh, yeah, but
you're one and done. Least risk.
I've seen the most money won in roulette. Like I guess not roulette. Sorry, in throwing dice.
Yeah.
I don't know what verbiage we're
that
allowed to
C
use.
word.
Yeah, that one. Because like the more consistency of winning, but I guess you don't win as much in each hand or each roll as you would do in like a hand of blackjack.
Yeah, and I don't know the rules to that game, but I understand that they just continues building. Maybe somebody in our Discord will know how to play. The next reading of Candide, Voltaire, essentially, is going to explain how to make good writing. One must be new without being bizarre, often sublime, and always natural. Understand the human heart and make it speak. Be a great poet without any character in the play seeming to be a poet. Have a perfect command of one's own language. Speak it with purity, with continual harmony, without the rhyme ever distracting from the meaning. So his writing is rapping. He paints a couple dichotomies: new without bizarre, be a poet without seeming like a poet. It also touched on what we talked about a second ago with the rhyming taking away from the message. So he kind of seems to have a differing opinion that rhyming is necessary, but it shouldn't be the focus.
It depends on I guess the art form, but yeah, if rhyming takes away from it, if it doesn't rhyme well, so if you focus on rhyming, and then you'll be distracted by the thing. So like that sonnet or whatever the Shakespeare thing, if you focus just on him rhyming, then you just lose the whole message altogether. If you don't, then you
That's what I do because the rhyme is what keeps me entertained.
So, do you struggle with something like Eminem because there's a beat, there's a rhyme, and there's a message that you can only grab one, and not just specifically him, but that sort of situation.
I mean rapping
At
in
a
general?
time, you can only focus on each one at a time.
But maybe you can learn to do more.
I don't think that's how focus works.
Well, I
I
think
don't think you
typically with
learn.
like
It's the human experience.
with music like that, you first get drawn in by the beat,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get drawn in by the rhyme, and then you get drawn in by the message. So it's kind of like a 3-layer thing of listening.
And maybe each also has their multiple parts where when you're getting drawn in by the beat, it might start with like a heavy bass, like dum, 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 sort of thing. In Runaway by Kanye West, the E note that goes ding, ding. That's an interesting way to grab your attention with a single, pretty high-pitched note.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily rhyming because it's only itself. In my final reading from Candide, he's offering real-life wisdom. Candide is talking to a Turk about the acres of land he maintains. I have only 20 acres, replied the Turk. I cultivate them with my children. The work keeps us free of the three great evils: boredom, vice, and poverty. So 3 great evils: boredom, vice, poverty. You ever been afflicted by any?
All the time.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my life right there.
Well, this is what makes him a great writer, is that he is born 100 years ahead of you on the other side of the world and can describe your life in a single sentence. This doesn't make you excited, wanting to jump for joy and read everything Voltaire's ever written?
No,
Would
because
that
then
make you
like,
sad because history repeats itself, I guess?
well, yeah, but like, wouldn't that be the opposite of
Mhm.
boredom? If I don't know, I can't really read that much and not be bored.
Why not? Well, maybe
No,
you're not reading the right things. Did you have anything for a book report on The Old Man and the Sea? You finished the audiobook. Did it make you feel anything to
No,
get out there and catch that big fish?
I don't no, because he doesn't even like he catches the fish, but then like loses it, and it's like, and then he gets home and they're just like, "Don't worry about it, old man. You're old," and that's it. Like that's the whole like, what's the point of this book?
Well, what would be the point of the situation if it really happens?
Well, I mean, like, either, like if he gets the fish back without losing it to the sharks, it's like, oh, you're old, but you can still accomplish things, and we should value that as a thing. But like in this situation, it's like you're old and you still failed at what you're doing. Why are you still doing it?
I don't know. He caught
So,
the fish though. The
but
goal
my
was to
takeaway
catch the
from the old
fish, but
man
you
in the
think it
sea is
doesn't
we should
count
just
unless
give
he
it
gets
old
it home.
people.
Wow, that's a. I did say
Well.
we should take courageous stances, but I believe Canada has been starting to do that. I've even seen some self-deletion commercials they run.
Oh, they
Wow,
want
I didn't know that
commercials
was.
for that. That's
Yeah, well, because
that's
they will
interesting.
pay for you to do it, and so it's that self-deletion booth from Futurama. But that's only if you have free healthcare. For us, I don't know. I guess you got to go find somebody who's putting their dog down and ask them, "Can I be next?" We don't have enough time to get into it this episode, but Voltaire also connects us with Frederick the Great. He is a Prussian king and a friend of Voltaire, one of the few people in history labeled the Great. The others I can think of are Alexander and Catherine the Great from Russia. Now, please take a moment to subscribe or follow the channel. Alex, are there any wrecks in your life this week?
So the most annoying thing I have going on right now is new pillows for sleeping.
Pronounced pillows for most
Oh,
people.
I was like,
Oh
what
no,
is?
I say hello, but
Hello.
So
when you have to
pillows.
like, you're supposed to replace a pillow every
You could say
one to
pillow,
two.
but I was letting people
I don't
know.
think I know how to say pillow. 1 to 2 years. I use
Oh,
two for sleeping, and if
so
you
you
replace
replace
them
them
both at
every
the
1
same,
year
but
or
no,
every
if you
4
replace them all
years.
at the same time, you then have two very
Mm,
fluffy. And so most recently, I just had to replace one of the two because I learned that if you use one of the old ones and use one of the new ones, you can balance it out,
yeah.
hopefully. But it did not balance out as well. So I've been waking up with such a crick in my neck because I guess it's like too tilted upward because the pillows are too thick. And it's very annoying because if you're using two, I guess if you're using one, you can adjust. But when you're using two, it's very hard to get that sweet spot back after you lose it.
I'm trying to figure out how you're using two pillows and not hurting your neck
Well,
every
one
day.
on top of the other.
Yeah, just use one. If it's two,
That's true.
I could
Be
never
way
just
too
use
low.
one. Yeah, like
Have you
I
tried when you lay down on your pillow, you lay with your shoulder weight first, like the shoulders touch the pillow, and then that compresses
also
it for the neck
so
to have a nice
no,
bang.
because my pillow stops before the shoulders.
Well, this is what I'm advising the change of,
Oh, okay.
or
But then
or you push yourself higher.
when I sleep on my back, I take the top one and fold the bottom up so it makes like a ridge, and that ridge fits right into my neck crease. And then so my neck is higher, but my head is lower. And that's a nice sleep. But when I'm
That
sleeping on my
sounds
side,
comfortable.
That sounds so uncomfortable. I don't know how you sleep at night or
But
during
yeah,
the day.
side with two pillows is impossible. But you could take one of those pillows and put it in between your legs. If I'm on my side, I like to have a pillow in between my legs.
yeah, but if I'm on my side, I have to fill this whole space between neck and shoulder. So you need more than one pillow to fill that gap.
I think more than one is too much in that situation.
Because
I was
I
thinking
would need
one
like
is the
one and a
appropriate
half.
amount.
You
So
guys
an
must
old
sleep.
pillow and a new pillow.
Yeah, but you can't just get an old pillow. You have to
Not even at
make an old
Goodwill.
pillow.
You have to beat it into submission. Just like you can't make old friends, you can't make old pillows.
Oh, why don't you just get a thinner pillow?
Well, there's that too. You can
Oh,
also
'cause the
stuff
ones-
them yourself.
I mean, yeah, I guess like I could get different ones, but the ones I currently use are those sheep pillows. I don't know what brand they are. They're the counting sheep. And then
I thought they were made out of sheep. I was like, oh, that's
no,
weird.
I mean I don't know what they're made out of, but they have a cooling layer. So the top is like a gel layer, and it's cool to the touch. But I also use pillowcases, which really defeats the cooling layer because you can't really feel it too much. But those are the ones I use. I found that they're nicest.
Well, I think they make their own pillowcases where you can still have the cooling effect.
I don't. I get pillowcases that match my sheets
Why would you do that?
because
Like
it's gotta
color-wise.
be uniform.
Yeah.
If it's not uniform, you can't
How
sleep
could you
in it. It's
sleep in
weird.
the dark if your sheets aren't matching? Flizo, did you learn anything that happened in history recently?
This week in history, we delve into a significant moment in American history, Juneteenth. This day, also known as Jubilee Day, Emancipation Day, Freedom Day, and even Black Independence Day, commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. Juneteenth gets its name from combining June with the 19th day of the month. While the Emancipation Proclamation signed in January 1863 declared all enslaved people in Confederate states to be free, information traveled slowly. In Texas, the furthest Confederate state, enslaved people remained unaware of their newfound freedom. This all changed on June 19, 1865, when Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas. U.S. Army Major General Gordon Granger announced the enforcement of the Emancipation Proclamation. General Order No. 3 specifically addressed the enslaved population, informing them of their freedom and the new legal equality they had with their former masters. This momentous occasion marked the liberation of approximately 250,000 enslaved people in Texas, the final stronghold of chattel slavery in the nation. Their journey towards true equality, however, had just begun. Newly freed Black Texans celebrated their newfound freedom, and this day became a tradition of remembrance and celebration. As these Texans migrated across the country, the tradition of Juneteenth spread as well. Texas officially recognized Juneteenth as a state holiday in 1980, and in 2021, the U.S. government declared it a national holiday. Juneteenth serves as a powerful reminder of the fight for freedom and a call to continue working towards true equality for all.
Yay! Equality for all. Amen. Marching to Galveston reminded me of a thing we'd said in the past about having the need to have boots on the ground. You can't just proclaim this is the new law and expect people to follow it. You actually have to have somebody that's the muscle that says, if you don't follow it, we're going to hurt you.
Right. And that was like the big thing with that was they kind of knew about it and they're like, all right, well, we're not going to follow that.
I mean, they're very far away from the government, so the government's got to take a long time to get down there.
Yeah, and that was the furthest Confederate state. So, you know, and
even
in
Texas,
1863, the war wasn't over yet. So it was like the summer of 1865 is when the war finally finished. But still, they were like, oh, nobody really told us to our face.
Well, yeah, that's just very much the human nature thing is like, I didn't see no paper or whatever. So that's like why you need to have a general come down, open it in front of you and read it out loud. But Galveston nowadays has a nice little jingle for their holiday stuff. Classic Galveston. I heard that from living in Houston a lot. And I've been there. It's a quaint little place. They are no longer in the practice of slavery, so they have learned their lesson.
So the classic, just not too classic.
Yeah. The sort of like classic Coke, but they changed it to corn syrup instead of sugar. Yeah.
New Galveston.
This week's Bible reading is a quickie. It's just Matt 7:21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. So the idea that,
Whoa.
what's that?
That Matt is saying that you can't just ask for forgiveness before you die.
In a sense, I mean,
Yeah,
what do you
but
mean when you say that, though?
well, last week when we said that the people that repent before they get like executed are like, oh, it's good, you'll go to heaven, and it's like, well, that just said. Matt's like, no, you won't. You have to be a good person.
Well, I think what is the repenting? Like, how is this person actually apologizing or saying they're sorry? Because I think if they were honestly living a bad life their whole life and then that last 5-minute conversion, if they were to really convert, they would go through a lot of pain and suffering internally to like, because you have to realize I've essentially wasted my whole life or I've given my whole life to the devil. And so I think in that scenario, yes, God is going to pull you out and save you. But in the realization of going through that, you're going to suffer what a good person wouldn't. And I want to get to the prodigal son next week. So this will be a good jumping into that point of which is the better life, the one that partied off his inheritance or the one that stayed with his father the whole time.
That's going to be a conversation.
That's what the show is, just all conversations.
Yeah, funny how that works.
With conversations are words, and another great writer of words and reason for learning a foreign language is Friedrich Nietzsche. So I have with us
Nietzsche.
Thus Spoke Zarathustra, half German, half English version. So Friedrich Nietzsche was born in Germany, 1844, and died year 1900. He has a feeling like a German mind, and I thought it would be valuable to hear it in his native tongue, and that's why I have the dual language book. Nietzsche, I might label the most powerful thinker. His ideas cut to the core of existence. He said, if you stare into the abyss too long, the abyss stares into you. Have you ever felt the abyss's gaze?
Yes.
Unpleasant?
It's unpleasant. You ever just stare out into the dark woods?
Mm-hmm. You just contemplate.
I guess I don't live near trees.
That
so
dog
yeah.
you used to own?
Yeah, you stare out in the dark woods and you know there's something there. You have this sense that something's there.
It's Shia LaBeouf.
But you don't know.
Feeling you're being watched.
Yes. Then you hear like a leaf rustle or something. Then you stop staring. But then you don't want to turn away. So
can't turn your back on it. That would be dangerous.
I just stare into the void just normally.
Of your soul. Yeah. Internally.
Actually, on a cruise ship, I did stare out into like off the balcony into the
at night, the ocean. That's pretty terrifying.
It is. If you just start thinking about it too long, you're like, man,
it's like a single slip. No one will ever hear of me again.
The ocean during the day is terrifying too.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, at nighttime you're gone. You don't won't even make a sound if you fell off a cruise ship. You would just disappear.
Yep, and they can't turn around. Well, they could. It just would take so long. It's done.
Yeah, but there's always the chance if they turn around, they're going to hit you.
Yeah,
or suck you under. Yeah,
slightly worse.
Yeah, and I think that would be.
The moral to that story, don't mess around on cruise ships. Follow the rules. I've got some lines from Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Here's the first. Man is a rope stretched between the animal and the Superman, a rope over an abyss. So Nietzsche's big idea is the Superman, or Übermensch, literally means overman, a belief that we came from somewhere lesser, animals, and are going somewhere greater than human. A lot of his writing is going to be about how to get there. But that rope over the abyss is like the difficulty of dangling over this scary thing that could just take you out permanently.
Yeah, that is life, and every interaction. When you're driving on the highway, you kind of think about that sometimes. You're like, it's just a painted white line. It's not stopping another car from just coming over and meeting yours.
Yeah.
So there's that tightrope walk on the abyss, just driving.
I once drove next to a person who was playing on their phone and eating a cheeseburger and driving, of course. So see, that is the elevation of humanity. Though that is the Superman, an ability to focus on at least 3 tasks.
What?
Yeah.
What is the Spider-Man 3 that you're doing?
Well, Spider-Man would only be 2,
Spider-Man 3
right?
would be this.
No, but
Which
like
is
the way
also
he's
a
like holding his hand, like who counts like that?
This is how we've talked about that. That King Cooper and the Ben both have interesting finger motions. So the second reading I've got goes like this. Verily, he who possesseth little is so much the less possessed. And so that's similar to the phrase, the things you own end up owning you. Nietzsche had a fairly sad life, riddled with constant illness. He could only write a couple lines at a time. This gives his words a distilled potency. It's been asked why should people listen to him when his life was miserable. His reply was something like, supposing we were both in chains and I had a key to your lock, why assume the key should also work on my lock?
Good point.
These people are
So-
lazy, and it would be much more effort to have multiple locks made.
Well,
So that's like-
I think sometimes the outside observer can view something that the internal person can't. So it's like, hey, you're clearly doing this wrong. This is how you should do it. Like, I don't know if you ever.
That's
done
a valuable part of a partner in a relationship is like your emotions make bad decisions.
I know in like sports or something, like I don't know, like a golf swing or like some kind of throwing sport where your emotions are off, and a coach or something looking at you can see, hey, if you bring your elbow down, or if you twist this way, that'll help with what you're doing. They might not be able to do what you do, but they can see what you're doing wrong and give you advice on that. So I think it's kind of similar to that.
Yeah, that makes
what
sense.
he's mentioning.
So my third reading goes, when I want to mount my wildest horse, then doth my spear always help me up best. It is my foot's ever ready servant, the spear which I hurl at mine enemies. How grateful am I to mine enemies that I may at last hurl it. His spear helps him into position. He's grateful to his enemy for the chance to fight. Problems are opportunity for growth.
Some people do thrive on the challenge of being challenged. It's kind of like people who are good problem solvers. Sometimes they just get into other people's problems to solve them, even though they don't have a issue. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or
And it's certainly some people who are discussing their problems, they don't necessarily want a solution. Sometimes you just need to get it out of yourself, even like we were saying with getting a better perspective of a problem. Saying it out loud versus only thinking it in your head can give you a new perspective on your problem.
Yeah, you realize how bad it is.
Most of the time. That's because we're just human.
Like, yeah, when you say it out loud, I guess it isn't a problem. I'm just a complainer.
Yeah, it's like when you say it out loud, maybe we shouldn't just start taking out all the elderly. But they shouldn't be allowed to work in government after the age of retirement. I will say that.
That is fair.
So speaking of numbers, 24 is back on the docket. The numbers this week are 1, 2, 9, and 5.
That's 9, not 6.
Okay, I think I have an answer.
Really, I did that as a 6, and I got an answer when you posted it originally.
I would try 2 times 9 is 18, plus 5 is 23, plus 1 is 24.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Well, that's pretty much all I've got for this week. Was there anything you guys wanted to discuss? Flizo, how's the social media coming along?
I'm starting to pick up on Instagram, so
Oh, that's exciting.
I'm going to try to go forward with that.
Okay, so in the future, look out for Flizo on Instagram. Make sure to follow Alex on Google Maps. The link's in the description. And check out my website, drawingmylifeaway.com. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.
Deuces.
Adios.